Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here for our final session this evening. Just before we begin, let me once again remind all of you that we have our SME Connect Awards that would be happening at the main plenary hall at 6 o'clock this evening. So right after this session, please remain in the hall while we finish the felicitation, and then we could all move forward towards the plenary hall. That said, it's now time for our next session, which is Unlocking Growth Financing Strategies for MSMEs in India. I would like to first invite our moderator onto the stage. Please put your hands together for Mr. Ullas Kamath, our founder for UK&Co. A big round of applause for him, please. I would also request our panelists to please join us on stage. Mr. Pankaj Gupta, Chief Executive Officer, Godrej Finance Limited. A round of applause. Sreenivas M, our General Manager, MSME Karnataka Bank. And Parvathi Moorthy, Associate Vice President, Head of SME Listing, National Stock Exchange of India Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. I know all of you have been waiting for this panel discussion. So, Ullas sir, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Ellargu namaskara. Last session ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ MSME ಭಾಳ ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀವಿ. MSMEನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣ ಬೇಕು, ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಣ ಇದ್ರೂ ಸಾಲೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವತ್ತಿದ್ರೂ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಓಡಿ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು, CC ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು, ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೊಸ ಮೆಷಿನ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಲೋನ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ಇದೇ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ MSMEಲಿ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೊಂದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಏನು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಗೂ ಹೋಗಿ, NBFCಗೂ ಹೋಗಿ, ಬೇಕಾದರೆ ಪಾರ್ವತಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಲಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ತುಂಬ ದುಡ್ಡಿದೆ, ದುಡ್ಡು ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ 45 ಮಿನಿಟ್ಸ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಯಾರು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಸಹ. ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಟುಡೇಸ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಬೈ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ MSME. MSME, any part of the world, MSME is the backbone of any economy. They are past, they are present, and they are future for any economy, not just India. If you see United Kingdom, 90% of the successful SMEs are small and medium enterprises only. Only 50 employees in the ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಬಟ್ ಎವ್ರಿವೇರ್ ದ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿತ್ MSMEs. ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಮೋರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ 6 crore ಆಫ್ MSMEs. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋನ್ ತೆಗಿತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಬೌಟ್ 10% ಆಫ್ ದೆಮ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 12 crore jobs. 12 crore job is not a small amount as far as the country is concerned. We also give 30% of GDP. ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ರು ಯಾವುದೇ ಪೋಡಿಯಮಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಗ್ಗೆ GDPಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸಹ MSMEs contributes 30% of that. If they say we want to become 10 trillion, 3 trillion has to come from MSMEs. We contribute 38% of exports. We contribute 46% of as ancillary to main companies. So always MSMEs are there to support, but not many support MSME. Correct alva? So what are the problems? Why MSMEs are not growing as much as what we wanted? I've been in the business for 35 years. Companies take birth as a small industry, remain as a small industry. Companies take birth as a medium industry, remain as a medium industry. Very rarely small industry has become medium industry become large industry, large industry becoming multinational. I have not seen that, barring few exceptions like Jyoti Labs, where I was a part of that. We started with 5,000 rupees capital. Today, it's 15,000 crore market cap company. So we want everybody should be like Jyoti Labs Limited. Everybody should be the companies like who have grown from small to medium to large to international. That's the way how the growth has to be. So we'll discuss about all these things today. But MSMEs are very, very important. From the government point of view, India needs 10 lakh jobs every month, month after month. Every month we need 10 lakh jobs. who creates the job? It's not the big companies. It is the small companies who create the job. Big companies go for campus recruitment. Small companies will take neighbor's child. Come. Tomorrow you come to the factory. Kelsa idyo ilvo. Naan the factory bantu sambala kododu. This is the way how they have grown. There is no doubts in my mind. So we need to support the small and medium enterprises. So we have today fantastic panel member. Ask all tough questions. You ask me, I'll ask them. We want money. By 6 o'clock, we want money. So we have traditional banker, Mr. Sreenivas, Karnataka Bank. 100 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ Karnataka Bank ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಹಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಂದನೇ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಅದು. ಮಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಜನ್ಮ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ. 5 ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್, ವಿಜಯ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು, ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು, ಕೆನರಾ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸಿಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕು. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಗಂಗೋತ್ರಿ ಥರ. So Karnataka Bank is from Bangalore, doing extremely well, and he is the general manager for MSMEs, traditional bank. Then we have little bit of non-traditional, which is non-banking financial institution, Godrej Capital. ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅವ್ರವ್ರದನ್ನೇ NBFC ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಹಳ ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. They give the money also very quickly. How they give, why they give, that we'll discuss with him. Still, if you want more money, go to Parvathi madam. Parvathi madam will get your company listed. And last 1 year, 5,900 crore she has just given through the listing. So there you don't have to return the money. In these 2 places you need to return the money. There they need to multiply the money. So it's a good combination. I thank BCG, I thank Government of Karnataka putting a wonderful panel members here, and let's discuss. So first is traditional bank. Sreenivas sir, why you are not giving the money to small and medium enterprises, sir?
No, absolutely, we are open to extend any amount of loan to any of the genuine MSME customers. I am based out of Bull Temple Road, Bangalore. Any of the requirements, you can directly walk in and check if I am available, directly get into my cabin. I will ensure that your requirement is met. I said genuine MSME, yes.
It's a good beginning.
It's a commitment, yeah.
It's a good beginning. You should go to Bull Temple Road, go to the branch, meet him, give your application, then you will get the money. Now, traditional bank, all of you are dealing with a traditional bank, and traditional bank has its own limits, and beyond that, they cannot. It is very, very clear. All of us, we have dealt with traditional bank. Now, the new thing which is happening in the country is non-banking financial institution. They are also regulated by Reserve Bank of India. They are also regulated by various other laws. But still they are doing far better. NBFCs are doing far better than the traditional bank. And their value is also far better than the nationalized bank. Just to give a number, that Bajaj Finance Corporation and Bajaj Finserv market capitalization is almost like State Bank of India. So that means they are real. Both of them are real. So let's hear from the expert from from NBFC, from Godrej Capital, Pankaj sir.
Thanks. So I think the important piece what you've been interested to know is that loan is available, yes, no. I think the answer is yes. The most important piece of business and inclusion is, I think if we do comparison of Indian industry overall and SME industry, if we talk about, we have a long way to go in terms of exploring and realizing the potential of India's growth story. India in the next 4 decades is going to become world's #1 economy. So if the estimation and the consumption and the data estimates are true, in the next 30 to 40 years, we should be world's #1 economy, and that could only happen if MSMEs grow. And there is potential to grow. Now, NBFC's role in this financial inclusion of MSMEs is very, very important. In fact, what I would say is banks also need to play an important role. A little comparison of India with America. In United States of America, there are few hundred banks and all of them are successful. So India needs more banks. India needs more NBFCs. The difference between bank and NBFC is bank has more products. Bank has savings account, current accounts and more products than NBFC. Since NBFCs have only business which is lending business, so NBFCs can focus more on two dimensions of the need. Need number one is how will we cater to varied segment of MSMEs. And at NBFC, at Godrej Finance, what we try to do is we try to understand that a small shopkeeper to a large SME, which means a small shopkeeper can have a turnover of monthly, let's say 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs, and a large SME can have a monthly turnover of about nothing less than 1 crore, 2 crore or 3 crore. Turnover can be, annual turnover can be 10 crore, 40 crore, 60 crore. Now, because we are NBFC, we have different lines of businesses, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand the segments in such a manner that what are the products available for shopkeeper segment, what are the products available for manufacturer with a small setup, what are the products for large manufacturers. And I'm happy to share with all of you that we started business for a decadal view. Godrej is a 128 years old brand, and we feel that in the next few decades, as India's growth story is unlocking, we create such products and go deep in the country where we have all small towns, large towns, metros, and we also have customer segment products. So that when somebody comes to us, we have a scorecard model, we have assessment model based on technology, where we can give instant product to consumers. The only request and the guidance point through this forum I would like to say is that our expectation from a lender perspective is that this relationship is long term and responsible credit, we call this. If the money comes back to the NBFC, it goes back again to the sector. So the money is people's money. We also borrow and lend, and we are willing to give money to all customers where the growth capital is required, whether it is small shopkeeper or whether it is large SME. And across the sector we are working on.
Very nice. There was a standing committee in Lok Sabha in 2022. The report was very, very clear. The gap of credit to MSMEs as of now was about 20 to 25 lakh crore is the gap. That is the money required by MSMEs and money is lent to MSMEs. The gap was estimated by the Lok Sabha's Finance Standing Committee was about 20 to 25 lakh crore. That means almost 1 year of the GST collection should be given to MSMEs to bridge the gap. So that means there is a need to fund MSMEs. There is no doubt, whether it's a traditional bank or whether it is NBFC, there is a need gap. Now let's see how other developed countries are financing small and medium enterprises. If you see China, 37%, the credit penetration has gone up to 37%. That means 37% of the MSMEs are well funded. Rest of the people may not be taking the money from the bank, but 37% is from the bank. And US is about 50%. So when we see rich country, which is a $30 trillion economy of US, if 50% of their small and medium enterprises are availing the bank loan, and second biggest economy is China with $19 trillion economy. If 37% of their small and medium enterprises are availing the loan, if that is correct, then taking loan is also correct. You cannot grow, the country cannot grow if MSME don't grow. MSME don't grow without taking the loan. Now the question is that when should we take the loan, when we should not take the loan, from whom we should take the loan. So we have heard from NBFC, we have heard from traditional bank, Karnataka bank, from Sreenivas. Now let's hear from National Stock Exchange, Parvathi madam, and she's in charge of listing the small and medium enterprises. She is Associate Vice President there. And madam, when do you recommend people should get listed in a stock exchange? Is it that easy? Like how we get the money from Bull Temple Road or how we get the money from Godrej, is that easy or a little more difficult? Should we come all the way to Bombay?
So good afternoon and thanks for having me here. So answering the first question, in terms of a typical life cycle of a company, generally we see MSMEs start with their own capital. So this is from their own savings or chipped in, bootstrapped friends and families, right? And this generally would be, if I were to look at it from a stage, this is generally at the idea stage when a business idea is being tested. As you find acceptance of that idea, you would want a little more capital to probably develop that and test a market about it. So market acceptance. So again, that's where you would see probably a longer term funding coming in. Maybe if there is initial capex, it is supported by bank funding. If it is a tech or if it's an idea, the new age kind of business is generally supported by seed capital or early venture capital. As you find a viable market for your product and you found acceptance of your product in the market, now you come to a stage where you want to scale up and you want growth capital. So when you are in a phase where you want to grow rapidly, and if you were to look at it, if you took the organic route, which is plowing back your profits into the business, right, it may take longer, something which may take probably 5 to 7 years to achieve scale. That's where, as an exchange, if you raise capital by way of SME IPO, there is an upper limit to what you could get from friends and families. Early stage investors may seek an exit, right? And you need capital for growing. So this is probably the stage where an SME IPO is ideal. Because the SME IPO is a part of public markets, it is not meant for idea testing. It is not meant for cash burn. It is for supporting growth requirements of an established business for you to achieve scale. So that's probably the stage where ideally an SME IPO starts, and eventually as you scale, you could do multiple rounds. So it could be follow-on public offering, it could be preferential issues, right issues. And then when you get scale, of course, you have a much larger market, and then we would want to see you go to the main board, migrate to the main board. So that's generally a cycle which we see. And coming to your second question, it's definitely a little more tougher than it is getting a loan, simply because as a lender, you have much more control over the borrower in terms of periodic, it's a contractual obligation between the borrower and the lender has a lot more rights. As opposed to intermediation, which is what lending does, stock markets is more disintermediation. We are a platform where an investor and an issuer will be brought together. So as a platform, of course, there is dissemination of information, but the control is not as much as a lender would have. So yes, it is a little more tougher than raising a bank loan, but it is not as tough as people imagine it to be. So I'm here to dispel that myth that it is not easy to raise funds by way of SME IPOs. There is a process, but it's not very cumbersome. In fact, it's more light touch than the main board, simply because SMEs don't have that kind of bandwidth or ability to be able to comply with onerous regulations, right? So that...
I think it's well said. It is definitely it's not easy, but that's for the growth capital. And generally MSMEs, their problem is the cash flow. They do have profit to pay interest, but they will not have so much of profit to pay the principal. So generally the MSMEs problems are their business projections remains as a projection, liabilities becomes a reality. Most of the times, my experience is that whatever they give it to the bank as a projection for next 5 years, based on that DSCR of 1.65, you get a loan, you pledge your house, you pledge your relative's house, you pledge everything, get the money, and then you start buying the machinery, and then machinery don't work. It will take another 3 months, 6 months time to fix. And by the time you switch on the machine, the principal amount will start. The moratorium will have been over. So they are into a formal debt trap. And once you have borrowed the money from one bank, no bank will see you. You won't get coffee, tea, nothing. Because they say that you already borrowed the money from them, get the NOC from there. You don't get the NOC unless you pay it. So this is the kind of vicious circle where MSMEs are stuck. Now, my next question to the panelists are that healthy MSMEs don't need any money. Healthy MSMEs could be 10% of the overall MSMEs. The rest of the people need money. And there is term loan, there is working capital, there is a little bit of overdraft, and there is loan against property. There are a lot of things are there, but everything is secured. Everything is secured. Beyond that, you do have personal guarantee. That means even if you are not there, the money will be taken from your account because of the personal guarantee. While it is perfectly prudent from the point of view of the banking institution, I just want to hear from Pankaj. When you lend, how important for you is the cash flow in the business, and how important for you is the security in the business?
So I think the piece of collateral and security goes hand in hand, and there is something else which I'll speak about at a later stage, that unsecured lending also we do. Having said that, that's very small amount at a higher rate of interest, that is also available. But if we look at the collateral and the cash flow, so I'll speak about cash flow first and then collateral. At the end of the day, the money of EMI has to come from cash flow. Now, the genuine issue of SMEs is that the cash flow is not fully observable from the balance sheets. So, and I hope all MSMEs agree to that there is business, there are expenses, and there is profit, and then there is a certain level of, I would say, growth of future, which no one knows that next year will be COVID or next year will be bumper year. So the estimation of a lender will always be on the basis of two things. One is past, that how has past credibility of the individual been. For the last 20 years, 10 years, you've been paying your EMIs on time. That contributes 35% of a loan proposal, broadly. That if your track record is good, you have never defaulted, that is a good thing to have. Second good thing to have is your assessment and ability to deal with people you deal. And I'll go little granular here, and excuse me for being little granular, but that's a reality. For example, somebody does not pay you on time, and you still continue to give stock. Now what happens is that eats up your working capital cycle. You take loan on the rate of interest, whether it is mortgage loan or unsecured loan, the range is between 10% to 20% and so on and so forth. So depending upon quality, now you raise the loan, pick up the debt, and then give to your debtors, pick up from your creditors. If you take somebody, your creditor is like discounting only for 7 days, and you are giving credit for 6 months, it is eating your working capital. So we look at that are you a little harsh businessman on the financials of your own? Are you, stopping dealing with certain people who are not paying you on time? And that's a very important dimension of business that impacts your cash flow and credibility both. The third thing which we see and we want to advise is there should always be oxygen available in your bank lines, whichever available. Which means if there is a bank line of 40 lakhs you already have, there is no need to always be on the last day 39 lakh 99,000 balance, and always there is a payment coming and payment going. It's a very important practice that banking is always having some oxygen to breathe, so that when you need oxygen, you breathe. If these three dimensions are taken care of, that your money has a value because you raise money at cost. If you value your money, if you have a good track record, if you have ability to handle some shocks, that tomorrow COVID, ABC, XYZ, something happens, you are able to absorb that little bit of shocker, the business will be very good. You can take loan anytime you want. The second piece of collateral is, I think most of the times what we figure out is that certain people do investments in collaterals which are not legally clear and not technically clear. Now what we see as a company or even banks look at is that if you have surplus money and if you are investing money in a collateral, you are buying any property or you are buying any, I would say, investment land, just make sure that the investment should have legal and technical check from your end. You can even appoint a lawyer who can tell you, don't buy this property in the registration department has a challenge. Or you can do technical feasibility assessment that this is a agriculture land. If you are buying it for agriculture, it is fine. But if you are buying for investment and tomorrow you want to raise fund, NBFC banks will not give you money on that land because that land is for agri. So it can happen that certain banks and certain NBFCs have policy, loan against property only residential, commercial, which are ready properties. So these are two very, I would say, important dimensions. Those businessmen, starting from a very small shop to a large SME, if these two dimensions are taken care of, the property collateral and the business prudence, even if it is at small scale, I think life will become far easier.
Wonderful. What is to learn from Pankaj's statement is that first to get your unit economics right. Most of the small and medium enterprises do not understand the unit economics, whether you are making profit or not. If you are making profit, how much profit you are making per unit. Get that right first. Not for the purpose of banker, but for yourself, whether you are making money or not. That we call it as a unit economics. Second one is that you see if there is any scale in upgrading your business. If you multiply your capacity, most of the expenditure remains the same. So the scale advantage, generally we give you about 500 bips, means a 5% more EBITDA margin. You should know what is EBITDA also. Because if you want to do business, you need to know everything. It's not bliss if you don't know in business. If I say I don't know, you are paying for that. So in business, you should know what you know what you don't know. You have to hire the people who will tell you what to be done. Now let me tell you who are the best paymasters in this country. There was a study done by Reserve Bank of India and the NPAs were calculated. For micro industries, NPA is at 7%. For small industries, it is at 9%. For medium, it is at 10.5%. For large industries, it is 20%. Now, who is paying, who is not paying? The top 20 defaulters can take care of all my SMEs. The top 10 defaulters in this country, in the bank, can take care of every problem of SMEs, of 6 crore MSMEs problem, they can handle it. Because micro, small and medium, they take in thousands and lakhs and bit of crores. But big enterprises, if you see, you go to Google and see 20 top defaulters in India and total rate of, that is equivalent to what I told you, 20 lakh crore. What is the gap? What is there for MSMEs for the entire country? That is one. The second one, during COVID, no MSME has laid off their employees. Not even one MSME has laid off. They have paid from their gold loan. They have paid by selling the properties. They have paid everyone because they felt that what do they do if we don't give the salary? How do they eat? But big companies laid off thousands and thousands using force majeure clause under law. It is the will of a God. It's called force majeure clause, and they laid off thousands and thousands and lakhs of people during COVID. Now that is the intent, clearly says that the small and medium enterprises have a large heart and they remember EMI's date. If they don't remember wedding anniversary or birth date is still okay, but they remember the EMI dates. That's how NPS are so low. And some discipline, we want the SMEs to have it. Can I ask Sreenivas sir, what kind of discipline you expect from your MSMEs?
Basically, the right business at the right place. MSMEs may not have an experience in running that particular business, but as a banker, we expect that the particular business will have some understanding on the business, what they are going to drive, and maybe how their future cash flows, because there's a difference between how NBFCs funds and the banks fund. We fund for first-time entrepreneurs also. We fund without taking any collateral security. Those can be covered under various other guarantee schemes which are promoted by Government of India and the banks. So we look at a little bit of entrepreneurship, and we look at the passion, and we look at the repayment capability of the particular individual or the business. There are C's, P's, all those things are there. I'm not using the management word.
No, it's perfectly fine. Understood. Yeah. Let me go to stock exchange now. Madam, to list in National Stock Exchange as a small and medium enterprises, we should be profitable. Yes. Correct, no?
Yes.
We should be profitable.
Yes.
Swiggies are not making any money. Zomato is not making money. Thousands of crores of loss. They are getting listed how, madam?
So I'll, before I answer that question, also taking the point of NPS which you mentioned, right? When it comes from an evolution journey, when a company starts to it being a large organization, every large organization has started off as an SME. Right now, to see those NPA numbers which you said in a bit of perspective, what happens in a banking portfolio, if you were to look at it as MSME NPA as a percentage of overall lending to MSMEs, the NPA, so MSMEs is a much more granular book. If you were to look at it, one large company defaulting, right, an SR group defaulting, in terms of an amount because of the sheer size, but you look at it from the larger corporations, right? The chance, if you were to look at it from a historical chance of a larger corporate defaulting, is much lesser overall in the, the pool or the universe of larger corporates. So it basically stems from risk of failure. That typically the risk of failure is highest at the early stages of business. As the business gets scale, right? It hires more professional people, it spreads its wings, right? So then the numbers increase, the reach increase. Even from a lender's perspective, the risk that this unit is going to shut shop and run, right? That goes down. So again, if you were to look at it, drawing the same parallel, because the public markets as capital markets or the lending markets is overall complementing and part of the larger financial system of the country. So it stems from the risk of failure. Now, SME companies generally have higher risk of failure. So that is why on the SME IPO, the SME exchange, the eligibility norms are a little more stringent, which is why you say that we have a minimum level of profitability, which will show the same things which Pankaj mentioned, that do you have your unit economics right? Are you a profitable venture from day one, right? Are you able to sustain that profit through one or two cycles? So these are things which we also see when we decide eligibility criteria. Now, having said which, how are these companies listing? Basically, these are new age companies. As a country, and of course the epicenter is this beautiful city of Bangalore, tech has become an integral part and has changed the way of life. So now these are new age companies which obviously need new age solutions. Right? So are we saying then that only the traditional model works and only the traditionally run companies should be able to raise capital? No, that's not the case. So the companies like Swiggy, so we had 6 unicorns listing in the calendar year 24. So Brainbees, First Cry, Swiggy, Godrej, these were large companies which raised capital. They raise capital by one of the enabling sections of SEBI, which is that there needs to be a minimum number of QIB participation in that. Now, QIBs are qualified institutional buyers who understand businesses much better than what a retail investor understands. So often when such businesses have QIB participation, as a retail investor, you take cues from them, and then you build your investment decision. So that is the reason why you do have unicorns, loss-making companies list on the stock exchange, but the rules are different for those and the rules are different for an SME company.
So making loss is not a bad idea, but you need to be in technology business. And as Madam rightly said, that Bangalore is the capital for unicorns, and we have, in India, we have about 127, when I read last time. Unicorns is the second fastest growing unicorn in the world. We are extremely happy about it. Per capita income of Bangalore city is 3,46,000 rupees. The richest, per capita is not Bombay, not Delhi, not Calcutta, not Chennai. It is Bangalore now. We get 3,46,000 rupees average. Don't clap. If you take Koramangala out, if you take the Koramangala residents out, we come back to 1 lakh only. So thanks to Koramangala, we are richest because of them. Now, fundamental principle in which you need to run the business is, am I good in taking the debt, or am I good in having equity? I request all of you, things are changing, you need to change. Situation is changing, you need to change. Temples are organizing e-pujas. Correct? Priests in the temple are having QR code. Everything has changed. MSME also has to change. What is the change? Change is understand the reality. Are you making profit or loss? If you're making profit, continue. If you're making loss, see how to make profit first. Then only comes whether you should take a debt or you take the equity. And there are a lot of people who have the money, they don't have the business. There are a lot of people who have the money, they don't have the business. You have the business, you don't have the money. Go to them, get some valuation done, give 25% of the equity to them. In equity, you don't have to pay the interest, you don't have to pay the principal also. But you become your partner. It is better to have a partner at 25-30% rather than going from here to there to here to here. Because it's a catch-22 position, most of the MSMEs are. If without money, they cannot grow. They don't get money if they don't grow. And Lakshmi goes where Lakshmi is. Money goes where money is. That is certain only. There is no doubts only. Correct? You need to have the money, then people come to you. Can I lend you? Can I lend you? Because they know that they can take the money back in one phone call. Right? So to that extent, you need to be very judicious in understanding your business first. As Sreenivas sir said, things have changed. The way how the people are doing the business has changed. But if you don't change, then it will be difficult to survive. It's a phase of consolidation. It's a phase of disruption. It is a phase in which big becomes bigger and small will vanish. No doubts in my mind. It is very clear in the last 15 years how consolidation has taken place. And everybody are getting into every successful business. I asked that question to Madam about the Swiggy and Zomato. Just to give a number, Swiggy and Zomato market cap put together, they can buy ITC hotels, they can buy entire Taj group of hotels, and all the listed hotels in Europe, they can buy by selling these two companies. Both are real. Swiggy Zomato is valued almost 3 lakh crore. ITC hotels is about 35,000 crore as of day for yesterday. So you can buy companies by selling the companies today. Real. It is real. What I'm telling is real. So you cannot be in unreal situation that nothing will happen to me. That is like saying that when tsunami comes, water will not come to my house if you are on the beach. Beware of all these things. One more COVID will come. And we are, as Pankaj said, we are always there, 1 lakh less than the limits. So that buffer should be more. First of all, whether you need it. And unfortunately, MSMEs are at the receiving end. They've never been at the giving end. We say in the big corporates, they're working on a negative working capital. At whose cost they are working on a negative working capital are based on these MSMEs. They are working on a negative working capital. They say just in time, and they get a big award. This company works with 7 days of working capital. They are just in time, and they get award. At whose cost they are getting the just-in-time production? These people are 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers away from their factory. These people keep everything is ready, and they say they supply on a Monday, they supply on a Monday. But when do they give the money? After 30 days, 45 days, 50 days, 60 days, 90 days. So sometimes these people will keep everything ready, but they are not able to give because they don't have that power of negotiation, because there are many people are waiting to supply the same product. So to do the negotiation, you need to have that power. Hopefully, government will come to your rescue. We have a representative to the government. Everything is not so bad. There are a lot of good things that are happening. Number one is that in this year's budget, if you see, MSME is one of the pillar of growth. It's very well recognized MSME as one of the pillar of the growth because of the jobs what you have created. Second is that MSME ministry is there at the central level, MSME ministry at the state level, and they have amazing bureaucrats working at the MSME trying to see what kind of discipline what we can get in and how we can make them to grow. The policies of the government are there to help the MSMEs, not enough, but something is better than nothing. But you need to respect, appreciate, and make use of the policies. And if you are operating from Bangalore, if the facility, if you put up in Hubli, if you get 3% GST refund, you should move to Hubli. Nothing wrong in that. People have gone to Middle East, people have gone to Vietnam, people have gone to Bangladesh. We have set up the factory in Bangladesh. People have set up the factory in Sri Lanka. People have gone all over the world for benefits. You can't be saying that I will stay in Rajajinagar and factories in Rajajinagar, my children are in Rajajinagar, my school is in Rajajinagar, my in-laws are in Rajajinagar. It won't work. You need to see that, okay, if I sell my property today in Rajajinagar, I get 10 crore, put up a factory in Hubli, in 2 crore, 8 crore, give Karnataka Bank fixed deposit. That is the way you need to negotiate with the business. Business economics is the same. But the way how you operate, please change. You need to change because you have created lots of jobs. There are many people who are depending on you for your success also guides their success. Now, last round, before I take the questions, 19 minutes are left. Madam, when we get the listing in a stock exchange, what are all the compliances they need to follow? Is it that go, get listed, ring the bell, come, have money in the bank and use the money? Thereafter, what minimum compliance they need to do? If you can help them to understand,
Sure.
It will be great.
So in terms of post-listing, there is a filing which needs to be done semi-annually as opposed to the main board where it is done quarterly of the financial results. These are limited review audited financials which will have the profit and loss account and the balance sheet which gets filed. Shareholding pattern details which needs to be given so that the public is aware if there is any change, major change happening in your shareholders. And any material event, these could be, for example, a merger, it could be appointment of a new KMP, it could be resignation of an auditor, any material event, a large order, any material event which the public needs to know. One thing which I would want to mention here is that what changes, of course the list of compliances is very much there. It's not very onerous because these are now entirely automated. This is available for filing on an online portal, so it's not very cumbersome. One thing which I would say what needs to change, sir, is the mindset that it's not a company which you are thinking as a promoter, but you're thinking as a trustee of people's faith who are your 25% partners. And so that's why thinking on those lines, whatever material information needs to be provided to those partners so that they continue to repose that faith in you is what is required in terms of disclosures. Only that it is made in a more structured format, that this is the periodicity, this is the format, and this is the location where that file needs to be uploaded. So the thinking is that, and the mechanism is what the exchange has prescribed.
In other words, you need to have technology backup. You need to be very transparent. Your P&L should show the true and the fair picture of your transaction. And anything need to disclose, you need to disclose well in time. And getting listed in a stock exchange will give you the power of alternative currency. What is that alternative currency is? Suppose if you are listed, if your stock market overall capitalization is say 500 crore, and for 500 crore, if you are a 150, 200 crore company, you get a market cap of about 500 crore today. If you are having an EBITDA of about 15%, you get a market cap of easily about 400, 500 crore. Why 400, 500 crore you get? Because India is in a growth plan. India is growing at 7-8%. India is a consumption-driven country. India's private consumption is about 65%. Government is about 10, about 75% is private consumption, as against China is at about 48%, and US used to be at 65%. So when you see that number, everybody will give that. If you want to put $1 in this world, where do you put that dollar? In India, because India is growing. That is a good tailwind what you have, positive tailwind you have. So when you have a 500 crore of market cap, if you want to raise 50 crore, you can dilute 10% of your stake, you get 50 crore, buy that new factory or buy new technology or set up the new thing. That is where the alternative currency comes in. And that's very, very important. In our own case, in Jyoti Labs, again started with 5,000 rupees capital in 1984 by selling Ujala and selling door-to-door Ujala, house-to-house Ujala, and country-to-country Ujala. Today we are selling to 34 countries, we are selling Ujala. But Ujala started with 5,000 rupees capital and went for private equity. And I was very clear, borrowing money is the last thing what you do. If you are very, very successful, you are sure of success, then borrow the money. It is the least cost. But if you are taking the risk, it is the most expensive one. And cash flow wise, you'll always have a problem with a debt-driven company, not when you are an equity-driven company. So I went with the private equity, round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, best of the auditors, best of the lawyers, best of the documentation, best of the technology, best of the ERP. Finally, we are selling only Ujala only. Char bunda wala, kab badlega, neel, kab badlega, takdir. Same product. But the way how we did our documentation was so nice that we were able to get listed. And after that, we acquired Henkel. We launched many products. But today, if the company is over 15,000 crore in the stock exchange, if you want to buy a company for, say, 1,000 crore, you need to dilute 8% of the company and buy a 1,000 crore company. Everything is possible in today's world. If you plan well, if you have a great vision, Madam was telling me during the having coffee, that you need to have a great vision, that you have a vision for next 5, 10, 15 years, you plan accordingly, it is doable. Now we have 6 minutes, we'll take 3 questions. Most of the valuations are done by merchant bankers, not by you, because you think you are invaluable, but people will tell you what's your value by merchant bankers who have been approved by SEBI or approved by RBI and approved by exchanges. So general valuation, you say that if your top line is 100 crore, if your margin is about 15%, you can safely take it as about 400 to 500 crore valuation. Yeah. There is management, there is a technology, there is IPR, there is a trademark, there is a visibility, there is a market share, there is a, how many countries you are present, and how long you will stay, how long you have been staying, why people buy from you. Everything will add plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. Finally, the value will be given. And if you are extraordinarily brilliant, even if you make loss, they'll give you lots of money.
Yeah? What? CGT MSC. I'm not sure. Let me give some brief. I'm not sure about both the schemes which you are talking about. I just joined Karnataka Bank about 4 months back. But I can throw a little bit of light if you'd like to know something about Mudra scheme and CGT MSC. About that, my colleagues are there here, so we can give a clarification to you. Schematic lending as such, we just got into. You're talking to me something related to schematic lending. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Bakar. I'm from Recon Aqua Green Technologies. My talk is to Madam. See, what is the minimum profit required for listing of SME?
So recently, that's in December, SEBI has brought out some modifications in the eligibility criteria, under which there is a minimum EBITDA operating profit of 1 crore, which is required for 2 out of 3 preceding financial years. So out of the last 3 financial years, so currently we have 24-25 going, so 23-24, 22 and 21-22. So any 3 preceding financial years, out of that minimum 2 years, the company has to have a EBITDA operating profit, that's earnings before interest, depreciation, tax and amortization of 1 crore at least.
Yeah, next question, madam. Yes.
Namaste all. I'm from Bagalkot. Many of the MSMEs are innovative. During planning stage, during beginning stage, everybody will be having the project is good and all that, and we'll project report, everything will be done. But when projects commence for the first time, the factory or the unit may not work as we thought during sanctioning or during investing. So at that time, bank will have the umbrella wherein it will start surfacing and initiation will begin. And wherein we borrower at that time, first thing, we already had invested in the project. Second thing, we had mortgaged 100% collateral. And at this stage, innovative project, first thing it will be lacking expert. The one setting up a sugar industry is not a big thing, and setting up a jaggery industry at the higher scale is very tough, and we took it in hand and we have set up a first plant in India which is very innovative, 500 TCD plant with the open pan technology, wherein entire process is like high grade stainless steel and nothing is added, nothing is extracted in the process.
Yes,
so,
madam.
Today we have mortgaged lifetime hard earned money into it, and we have already paid 8 to 9 CR as an interest during construction. We started just before COVID, we started, and we were mid of it, COVID began. We didn't know that COVID will start. And after that, it was heavy flooded. But now bank has the umbrella, it started surfacing. And during that, TEV study was done. While before initiating the surface heat, bank didn't even check whether what's going on with the project. Is it viable? What's going on? Where it is facing the problem? There is no hand-holding support from the bank side.
Yes, madam. I got your point. I think we can take one more question, but I'll answer you. Bank is there only to lend the money, recover the money with the principal and interest, because there are a lot of people who have put the money in the bank as a deposit. Just understand what is the bank's role. Bank role is collect the deposit, lend the money, collect the money, and give it back to the deposit whenever he wants. Okay, so bank is not here to understand the pain points. It is the pain points of the promoters. They will help as much as possible, not beyond that, number one. Number two, there's something called risk. Risk is taken by the promoters. You are a person who takes the risk, and risk is associated with the reward. If you are very, very successful, you'll have paid the bank loan already. Because you are somewhere you have gone, means because of the calamities, because of the COVID, because of various things, my recommendation to you is sit with the bank, not necessarily the same bank, other bank, tell your problems. The loans can be restructured. Loan can always be restructured. It can be all over again. You can start the banking relationship with some other bank who can understand you. And probably we need to take some equity partner because your stakes are high. The fact that you are saying that you already paid 6-7 crore of money, that means stakes are high. You need to take some equity partner and then get going with the business. Otherwise, every day, interest will not sleep. There's no weekend for interest.
But us is a MSME unit. So the MSME department, like wherein you told MSME is a backbone of the country. When MSME is facing a short, like tweak technology problems.
Please
the
collect my
MSME
visiting card, madam. Please
Yeah.
meet me. Let me see what best I can do from the
Thank
government.
you so much, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
yeah, understood. This is the pain point of every MSME. I can understand what she has. She has only told 5% of her pain. Only 5%. 95% is there. It will come out of her tears now if I ask more questions. So that is the MSME which we want to solve. And madam, we'll do what best we can do. Bagalkot is very close to our heart. Last question. Oh, time's up. Time's up, and they're all available. Collect their visiting cards and talk to them whenever you want. And wonderful panel members, a lot of education for me, a lot of things I understood myself. And thank you, Pankaj, thank you, Parvathi madam, and thank you, Sreenivas. Wonderful interacting with you.
Thank you.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we should give a big round of applause to all our dignitaries on stage. I think this session was not just very, very informative, but I think it really gave out a lot of valuable insights, and we really have to give a big round of applause to all the dignitaries on stage. Thank you so much for an incredible session.